I got a comment on one of my previous videos telling me to build a shop, so here it is. Thanks for leaving the comment. I'm starting with 3 blocks between the bottom and the ground just to get a little extra height, but I'm starting with a wide panel. First, I'm starting with a 3x3 square just of item frames. The item frames is going to be for later and selecting which shop item. Then off of that, I'm going to build 3x4, put a barrel and a lever, and then a barrel out the back. The higher barrel is going to be where you put things in, like diamonds, and the lower barrel is where things come out. And the lever is just to purchase an item. So right now I'm putting hoppers from the back one, and I'm going to have a hopper line from the top one to this bottom one, and that's if someone puts in something that isn't a diamond, it'll just go out the return chest, making it a pretty elegant way to remove unwanted items so it doesn't get loaded with unnecessary items that aren't diamonds. And I right now am making the custom item sorter that I have created in my Hangman video, and this is going to be to filter out the diamonds in a very effective manner without one being stuck in a hopper, which is something the usual filter design has an issue with. So this is my modified version of it. Anyway, as we're nearing the end of this part, I just want to say that the importance of it is to filter out any diamonds and store it as payment. So it's going to sort out all the diamonds into this one barrel, and it's going to keep track of like how many diamonds are still in the machine that have not been used yet. And that's the second barrel. That's where all the diamonds are going to go into if they've been spent. So if they put a diamond in, it'll go into the top barrel, they can spend it, and then when they do that, it'll go down into the lower barrel. And we're going to work on that later, but right now we need to hook up the lever, and the lever is just going to go to some redstone dust and then an observer. And the reason for this is because we need a really short redstone pulse, 1 tick, so 1/10 of a second. And an observer is really perfect because it does that perfectly for us easily. So it'll just give us a redstone burst of 1/10 of a second, which is exactly enough to drain exactly 1 diamond from the chest, which is honestly quite convenient. So we're just going to hook up this redstone to a torch and then drive that redstone into the bottom barrel, which will send power to the hopper, and then now the hopper will no longer take items until that 1 tick pulse happens, letting exactly 1 item through. And right now we're taking the output and to detect if there is any diamonds actually in the machine that have not been spent yet, and that's just gonna be taken out with a comparator, then inverted. So if there is nothing, it'll be full strength. And that's because we actually want to subtract that with another comparator. So we want to subtract it from the actual signal. If you press the lever, it'll send the signal out to actually get the item. But if we don't have any things, the subtraction. I'm building this really quickly because while building this is like my 5th try. Every single previous try ran out of storage. But right now we're building a pulse extender. That 1/10 of a second, it's only going to let 1 item through. So we need to somehow increase that length to give them more than 1 item, because you don't want to pay like 1 diamond for 1 dirt. That's just not good. So right now I'm putting 16 items into the first slot of this hopper, and that will make it so when I do that, it'll give me 16 items, so I can pay 1 diamond for 16 dirt or 16 iron ingots. It's a lot. You can put however many you want in there. If you want, you could probably maybe put in 5 stacks, but I really don't recommend it. So now we're working on the actual item display. I put an arrow in the center one because it's a nice pointing thing. You could also use a sword or anything else pointy, I guess, but an arrow is a nice pointer. And right here, we're going to be building a red coder. So if the game would stop lagging, we'd just be building that. And how this works is it takes the signal strength and the bottom row, which I'm building both of them at the same time. But the lower path, that'll be the signal strength of like somewhere between 1 through 8, and then the higher one will be one that is exactly one lower than it. So you can determine exactly when one starts and the other one, or when they end, by seeing when there is the bottom and not the top path. Then you know exactly which of the 8 rotations the arrow is in. So that's how this is going to work. And the target blocks, they are necessary. The reason they're in there is because I'm pretty sure my previous design wouldn't have worked in Java Edition if I didn't have those. So I'm putting them in there because in theory it should work in Java Edition now, but I haven't tested it. So right now we're just finishing up the contraption. We're putting a bunch of redstone torches and repeaters. We're doing a bunch of logic gates, ands, nots, ors. It's kind of confusing, which is why you're watching this, because you probably don't understand them. I spent way too much time understanding them. And these top line, this is what's going to be stopping the hoppers from just giving you all the items for free. And along the back, it's what's going to only send items through when you're receiving items from that one pulse extender I talked about, the 16 items. Yeah, however long that is, that's going to be fed into the back right here, so it won't give items unless you press the button and it's paid, and it's going through that 16 item cycle. Now we're getting really close to being done. It's quite a simple shop, but now we need to set up the actual filtration. So right now I'm getting kind of specific stack sizes. I want a stack size of 18, and then 3 of 1. That's just preference. It can be any combination that's 4 stacks, but adds up to the same number. I just do 18, 1, 1, 1, and leave the first slot for the diamond. And what you want to put in there is something, it has to meet a few criteria. Number 1, it can't be like banners or anything that stacks up to 16 or 1. And number 2, it has to be something that under no circumstances someone would put in that machine. So my favorite way to do it is renaming an item. If you rename like a sponge random gibberish, then no way anyone's ever going to guess that and get their free money. And if they do that, it'll break the entire system and ruin everything. It'll be completely unusable. You have to fix it again. But as I'm still going here, I am just using regular redstone lamps because I am the tutorial, not actually using it. But 18111, and now I put in my singular diamond in the front slot. Whatever you put in that front slot is what's going to be filtered out. So now one of the last steps is actually setting up how the items get from storage to the given at the end bucket, whatever. But I'm just making a line of redstone, not redstone hoppers, but they're just regular hoppers, and then hoppers on the sides going into each of them. And each hopper on the side is 1 extra item slot. And I have 8 here because I'm using an item frame. If you were to use a lectern and a book, then with a book with 15 pages, you can have 15 of these slots, but I'm just doing this. And those barrels, you can fill up those with supplies. So I'm going to start setting up my shop. So I put an observer there in the first slot, and then first slot, boom, observer there. Make sure you put something in the hopper, or else it'll scam the first person 1 item, because, you know, it takes extra time to get from barrel to hopper to the chain. But so I just keep 1 in the hopper at all times. Then if I flick that lever, it should be working rather well. It does take a while though. So, oh, I forgot to put diamonds in, that's why. But I have a nice indicator light. I put an indicator light, it'll get the diamonds. And now that that's happening, it's draining all of those observers. That 16 redstone run out, it's going all in that bottom. And that stopped exactly on 16. That's exactly what we want. And for some reason the diamond's still in there, and I don't know why that happened. Anyways, glitches aside, that should be everything done. That hopper is being glitched. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But now I'm just going to put in a few more item things. So right now we have observers. I'm going to put in just a few more. The process is pretty simple. I'm going to be putting in item frames, glowing frames, droppers, chests, those things. Now just going into the second slot, do my glowing frames. And then third slot, I'll do my droppers. And then last one, I'll do my chests. And all of those should be now working properly. I'm going to switch to chest, press that lever. Forget a diamond. I forgot the diamond, but it's fine. I'm just going to put in a few in the top just to make sure it still works. Yep, okay. The filter works. We have our diamonds in there. And now we should have our chests going through. And we should end up with 16. I guess it takes a little bit longer. And if you're watching this, just know that this design is not the fastest or best design. It's just my design that I have borrowed inspiration from other designs I have seen. Goodbye.